Hey folks, welcome back. It wants to rain. We need the rain so badly here, folks, so badly. But the storm started over here, went about halfway around us, and we got maybe 10 sprinkles. And it's not sure if it wants to rain right now or not. So I had to water my garden last night. And I should have put some more water on it today, but I was hopeful that we'd get some of this rain that they promised. It is what it is, folks, right? It is what it is. So, here it comes. We'll see what it does. So, you ever been pulled in like 30,000 directions? And they're all important directions, too. This has got to be done. That person wants it done. You've been waiting for some help with this, and this is the only time they've got, and you've got to go to bed early because you've got to be into work, and you've got to do the training, and you've got to do this. And then you have your regular everyday chores, right? Homestead chores. We're going to get some rain, so this will be short. So I come up to get a handful of green beans before the rain hit, and looks like I missed that because I saw Wilson the tripod here and thought I'd jump in front, right? So I got the rest of that wood stacked. That's all done until the next go around. The garden is looking good. But folks, how bad do you think it's going to get? I'd like to hear your opinions, because you folks aren't dummies. You folks are paying attention. You folks know what needs to be done. But at the worst point that we are going to face, what is that going to look like? Somebody asked me this, I don't know, 3 or 4 months ago, what I thought this was the worst part of it's going to look like. And you know, I didn't know. I just didn't know because we don't know what's going to happen, right? So, you know, if there's an attack here on our country, what does that look like? What is that going to be? We just can't tell that, right? But what we can predict, our money continuing to lose its value, right? Everything in short supply. Food isn't as cheap. No matter what we do, everything is costing more, right? So that I do know. That I do know how to prepare for, right? Hence the garden, hence the birds. I can get by with that. Now, if something were to happen and it lasts a long time, I might get tired of the food that I have because I'll just be repeating what I eat, but you can always get creative, right? So, but I would be thankful that I have food. So, but then there are those that haven't prepared, or if they prepared, they ran out and they're desperate for something to eat, or they're desperate to find any medicine that they need because somebody came down sick, or they became sick, or they've got chronic headaches or chronic pain and they ran out of their meds, and they'll go knocking door to door because looking for something from somebody, right? And if they're a decent person, they'll ask and not take, right? So if you are in chronic pain, you know it can get you down. It really can. It causes fatigue. Your morale goes down, and so nobody likes constant pain. Nobody likes constant fatigue. Nobody likes constant anxiety. Nobody likes constant depression. Nobody likes constant BS that we've been getting in this country, right? So at what point do you get fed up, and what point do you start changing things, changing your mindset? At what time, at what point do you stop becoming patient and start becoming impatient, right? So I just don't know. I just didn't know how to answer that. I know how to answer it for me with what I know, and that's the very basics. That's why I stress the basics. Learn your skills now, get those practiced. At least get the knowledge in print form so you can refer back to it, whether it's in books or you do your research and you keep a notebook for this, a notebook for that, and all of everything, right? Do you think you're going to have to learn how to smoke meat? You may want to learn how to make a smoker. You can make a smoker out of just about anything, folks. Depends on how big of a smoker you want it. You can get one. You can have a smokehouse, or you can have this two tinfoil roasting pans clipped together. Put a hole on one end, put your food on the other, and a hole on the on the other. Put it on your fire, and or light the chips inside, and the draft will bring the smoke up and out on the other side of your meat, right? So there's hot smoking, there's cold smoking, there's all kinds of ways to cure meat, folks. And if you have no refrigeration and you have access to meat, you are going to need to know how to keep that meat without refrigeration, folks, right? You're going to need to do that so you don't become sick. So you could get the meat and you could can it, right? You can can it, you can put it in jars. What if you don't have propane? You can water bath it for an X amount of time, right? You got to do your research on that, folks. So you water bath it, and then you could can it that way. But if something happened right now and you didn't know how to can, you didn't have the equipment, you didn't have a stock pot, you didn't have any jars, you didn't have the know-how, you didn't have the ball book, if that's what you want to go by. If you didn't have all of that, you would either be going without, or you would have to be relying on somebody else that knew that, and hopefully they had some jars that you could use, right? But if times get that hard, they're not going to be willing to give away their jars, folks, because they will probably need their jars, right? Their jars, their lids, their bands. So you could be one of those people that have everything and are willing to teach others, or you could be one of those people that have nothing and become beggars, right? Moochers. So I just don't know. I just don't know. But it has stopped raining. See, folks, that's what we've been getting. It's not even enough to do anything. It's just not. So I am thankful for what I have. I am thankful to myself for living the way that I do, and the skills that I have learned over the years. And that's another thing, folks. You're not going to learn these skills in one day. You are not going to learn these skills in one day. You are not going to learn to garden in one day. You're just not, folks. It takes years. So, and the same with barnyard birds, right? It looks easy. Get some birds, keep them watered, keep them fed, but there's so many things that come up, folks, that if you're new, I used to be new years and years ago, but I was completely lost. Oh, what? That chicken is limping. What do? I didn't know what to do. Do you put it down? I didn't know. I just didn't know. And you got to know chicken behavior. You got to know the behavior of your birds, and you've got to look for illnesses and diseases before it just gets too bad. And you've got to. People just don't understand. It is not as simple as putting a hole in the ground, putting a seed in, covering it up, watering it, and walking away. It is not that simple, folks. And neither is raising barnyard birds or goats or cows, livestock. it's not as simple as it looks, folks. There's a learning curve to a lot of it, and you learn every day. I've been doing it for years, and I learn just about every day. Trust me. So when somebody asks, "Oh, you're pulling your garlic," well, I don't know. How do you know when it's time to pull your garlic? Well, they grew garlic, but they didn't know anything about the scapes, and they didn't know when to harvest the garlic. They didn't know how to store the garlic. They didn't know anything, but they knew that they wanted garlic to put in the ground in case times got bad, because they really like garlic, and garlic is really good for you, especially if you have a cold, right? So I explained how I do it, and Jazz, he sent me a picture of his garlic and asked what he did with his garlic, and I did everything that he does except for I don't dry it and powder it. So I am going to do that this year, I believe, Jess. Thank you very, very much. That was smart. So, you know, if you don't know how to do these skills, you need to be learning. You need to get the books. You need to get your butt right in front of your cell phone or your laptop or your iPad or whatever you are using, and you need to really think deep in what you will need if everything stopped as you knew it right there that day. What would you need? Now, if it was me, I would start with the basic. Water, food, shelter, right? Water, food, and shelter. You got to stay cold. You got to stay warm when it's cold. You've got to stay dry when it's wet. You've got to stay cool when it's hot, right? So let's just take water. How are you going to get your fresh water? Do you know what to do with that fresh water? If it came from a stream or a pond, do you know what to do with it? Do you know that it needs to be sterilized? Do you know that it needs to go through a boiling process? Do you know about any of that? And then how do you store water so it's safe? Have you thought about any of that? Now, I know this seems probably redundant in this community that we are in, but there are folks that you know and I know that don't have a freaking clue. Their idea of fresh water is going to the store when they need a gallon of water. They'll go to the store, get a gallon of water. When that is gone, they'll go back to the store and get another gallon of water. So they're relying on the system. What if the system is not there? What if it isn't? So I know I stress skills. I know I do. I feel that I have a lot of skills. I also feel that I do not have enough skills, because any given day there's something could come up that, one, I don't know how to fix. Two, I don't know what to do, right? And I reach out and I ask somebody. Three, I always ask myself, why don't I read that somewhere on what to do and how this person solved the problem, but did I pay enough attention? No, I relied on the system that if something happens, then I could just either go get another part, or I could go get just another whole mechanism, or I could run 30 miles down the road and I could pick up my phone and call somebody and they could come over and help me. But what if the system is not there? What if you can't get anything? What if you can't get anywhere? What if? Now, a long time ago, somebody, they had a good point. I do not worry about the what ifs, because the what ifs may never happen. I agree to a point. Except when it comes to survival. Right? Survival. So, sometimes I get a little flustered, a little disgusted at how people are just so blind. And then I'm like, why am I getting frustrated because people aren't willing to help themselves? Why am I getting flustered because they are not researching this and that? and they'd rather play video games on their cell phone or get on Facebook or so. I used to be a Facebooker, folks. I did. I stopped being a Facebooker. I still have my Facebook page. I never ever ever get on it. Never ever get on it, folks. So I don't know. I just don't know. But I am thankful that I have my eyes open, and I'm thankful that you folks have your eyes open. And long gone are the times where I would say, hey, I like you. Are you prepared for what is coming? I do not do that anymore. If they bring up a conversation, then I will talk about it. If they come to me and they ask me, like the other day, about the potatoes, I will teach them each and everything that they want to learn about gardening. I will do that. If they are willing to learn. If they're willing to learn. They've got to be willing to learn, folks, right? So, I don't know, folks. I don't know. My hair's wet. It was wet like an hour ago. And I just got a couple of sprinkles on it, but anyway, I've got some training. Like I said, I am being pulled in a million different directions lately, and it's a little overwhelming, and I'm having connection problems. So I've just got to do the most important thing at one time, right? What is top priority, and I've got to do that first. What can be put off to another day, and put that on another list. But training is important, because that means a job, right? So I have got to do the training, providing I could stay connected long enough, folks. This is very frustrating. So when you live the way I do, and your job depends on modern technology, they kind of clash, right? They do. They kind of clash. So now that the string beans plants are wet, I am not going to pick string beans. Everything else has been done that I need to do today, so I just need to go in and I need to tend to my birds and start training, folks. Make the time for that, if reception provided, right? And this video will get up reception providing, right? So y'all come back. Thank you for coming back. Any new subscribers, thank you very much for joining. I hope you are not too disappointed. If someone referred you to this page, I hope I'm not going to disappoint you. I do tend to be all over the place. It's just what strikes my fancy that day is what I'm going to talk about. And you can bet that everything that I talk about is everything that I feel, everything that I know to be true, to the best of my ability. I am going to stumble and stammer on my words, and I'm going to backtrack, then fast forward and backtrack again. And I'm not a video editor, so please don't think I'm going to get fancy on these videos. There's not going to be no welcome screen. There's not going to be any closing screen. It's just going to be me standing in front of the cell on Wilson, which is my tripod, and talking about what I feel is important. So thank you for coming back, folks. For you new subscribers, thank you for being here. I appreciate that. And you all have a good day. Thank you.